You're a London cabbie, aren't you?
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. What famous boat is behind that fence? So anyway, hello Pete, I hope you're having a great summer, and if you're not in the Western Hemisphere, I hope your winter's not too bad. Now, this one is a little ride around. It's not a motorblock. Oh, they're awful, aren't they, motorblocks? Don't worry, no, it's not a motorblock. I'm going to drop some names on this one. Sorry about that, but it's the kind of celebrity circles that I used to mix in. So I can't help mention a few names, and it is that sort of video. I think there's one name in there as well that's in the title, so that's a bit of a giveaway. I like to join in with the honking, as you know. Now, I don't read the mainstream corporate media, so I only just learned that my old mate and a lunch buddy, Jerry Springer, has died. Yeah, I was out of the loop on that one, wasn't I? Let me explain, yeah? In case you didn't know, Jerry Springer was he wasn't, he used to run these programs that everybody else copied. He was the first one to do these sort of people sitting down and saying, oh, did you go and get pregnant by him? No, it wasn't my son, and that sort of thing. You know, controversial fights on TV. And he started it, really, old Jerry Springer. He was like the king of it. Now I want to show you the last place I had lunch with Jerry Springer. See this building here? Was the BBC Radio 1 for a long, long time, and they used to all troop across to this cafe, which was called the Clipstone Cafe. And one day I was in there, and you used to get Radio 1 DJs, and one of them that used to go in there a lot was Simon Mayo. I know, who? But anyway, one day I was having beans on toast in there, because it was where I like to go, and Simon was in there, and he was with Jerry Springer. And that was the time me and Jerry, we had lunch together in the same building. Yes, no, we weren't at the same table, no, but that truly was the last time I had lunch with Jerry Springer. Yeah. No, it gets better. There's more to tell you. Right. This is a very interesting part of London, right? Radio 1 aren't there anymore. That's a posh sort of restaurant now, because they developed Broadcasting House. You know Broadcasting House. It's got the naked boy on the front with the old man patting him on the head. Yeah, that's the one. Now, as we go round, we're just going to stop here a minute. Look at this. Now, many of you will recognise this corner. Look at it. Isn't it famous? This corner has actually had 33 million views on YouTube. 33 million. The video was shot out of a window up there, which was a production company offices, and it is a bloke holding up a sign, which, if I remember rightly, says technology, and he frightens a lady walking up there. I'll quickly show you it. 33 million, yes?
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology! Oh my God. The part of London I'm in now is called Fitzrovia. Yeah. In case you're wondering, I bet you weren't even wondering, were you? Oh, look at this, a Tesla. Well, he must be going straight on. There we go. We just need to pull over here a minute. Now, this used to be a Greasy Spoon cafe, which I used to go and have my beans on toast in the mornings. I was living the life, you know. Anyway, who should be a regular there was former Doctor Who guy called Tom Baker. He was the one that had the hat and the scarf. That narrows it down. But Tom Baker it was when Tom Baker was living in France. Did you know he used to live in France? But he would come over here because there was loads loads of voiceover recording studios, and he would come into the cafe, and of course he had a loud booming voice, and he would sort of take over the cafe. He's a little bit at the time, he didn't really seem to like foreigners, that's what I will say. But no, I had to put up with Tom Baker over my beans on toast for a lot of mornings. What we are going to do, we're going to go out, and I want to show you how Richard Branson saved my bacon one day, or thought he did. How Richard Branson was nice to me. Yeah, you wouldn't think a bloody... You know what I think of hippies, don't you? Well, you wouldn't think a hippie was nice to me, but he was. Here we are, Bloomfield Road, right by the Union Canal here. Isn't it nice, like boats and shit? Now, Richard Branson was driving an old banger of a car, and he couldn't afford to buy a house in London. Even back then it was so expensive. And what happened was, he was driving this old bang of a car. I'll just move into this special space. Just down this bit of road here, and he broke down. Yeah, not in tears or anything. His car broke down. Luckily, he broke down next to a houseboat belonging to a lady. She might have been called Shelley. Anyway, he ended up banging her, got to live in the houseboat. She got a job with Virgin later on. And, well, he eventually bought the houseboat, and then and look at this, right in the middle of London, he eventually bought a bigger houseboat, which he called, I think it's pronounced the Douane, and the entrance to it is hidden down here. This is the main entrance now. It used to be a wooden door that blended in with the fence, so you didn't know there was a door there. All very good. And you get in through this door. Didn't have all the fancy entry systems and a sign. Didn't have a sign, any of those luxuries. You just had to find your way and know it was there. And you go through there, walk a little bit up the towpath there, and there be Richard Branson on his big, it is wide, barge sort of thing. Very nice inside it is. As you walked up, you would see a big wooden rocking horse, and he used to keep his kids there. He ran initially Virgin Records, and then some of the other stuff from this boat, even though down the road, fancy Virgin Records HQ just down the road on Harrow Road. And I was here, I'd been delivering here for a while, normally from Virgin Records, but it could be from anywhere. And one day I went on there, and I happened to be standing in front of Richard, giving him his package, and I had my radio on so that he could hear it. Because most of the time I'd have an earpiece, so you couldn't hear what the controller was doing. Anyway, that day it sounded a bit rough, like the controller was hurrying me along. He wasn't, it's just how the job went. And it sounded like the people at Virgin Records down at Harrow Road were giving the controllers grief because the package they'd sent hadn't got to Richard fast enough. I mean, it's a couple of minutes ride down the road. Anyway, Richard heard this through my London comms radio, and he was having none of it. He didn't like the fact that I appeared to be getting bullied, and he had words with the staff down at Virgin Records on the reception that you shouldn't bully Toasty. You really shouldn't, because I'm doing my best, and I did actually know where I was going, honest. And so that was the time. Richard Branson was nice to me. He was always nice to me, by the way, which is odd, because you know what I think about hippies, and Richard Branson is a hippie. There's no two ways about it. And I thought, oh, that was a nice thing to do. The first client on Virgin Records sort of list was a guy called Mike Oldfield, right? Now, he had a big hit on his first album that really helped Virgin take off. If it wasn't for the best-selling record Tubular Bells, Now, I used to go to Mike Oldfield's house a lot, you know, to deliver him packages and that. And the thing was, right, I was always pressing his doorbell, of course. And I reckon it was me pressing his doorbell and the chimes and all that that gave him the idea for Tubular Bells. But the trouble was, they wouldn't have none of it. Mike Oldfield wouldn't admit it, and Virgin Records wouldn't admit to it. Just because, you know, they got the album out before I started delivering to him is neither here nor there, really. That's just fancy legal talk. But anyway, I never got a dime for that, and it was all my idea. Tubular Bells was based on me. This goes on all day here. But anyway, I've got one more thing I want to show you. Enough of this malarkey. That's all day, all day. You know what crossing it is, don't you? Looks like an ordinary church, doesn't it? But it was at this church where Virgin Records all began. Now, if you know your history, we're going right in. No, but there we are. What happened was, Richard Branson, he had this magazine, I think it was called Student, because it was aimed at students, right? That was hours of work in that name. And he started in Connaught Square in the basement flat, then moved to Albion Street, got chucked out of Albion Street because the flat belonged to a church and he was running a business. And the vicar at the time here, I think he's called Cuthbert Smith or something like that, he said, Richard Branson, soon to be multi-millionaire, would you like a little bit of space in this church's crypt? And he said, oh yeah. So he had his student magazine here, which he was rent-free, courtesy of the church, and it was whilst running the student magazine he started Record Mail Order, and that was quite successful. And this is where Virgin Records started, in the crypt of this church. Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it? So there we are. Here we are on Camden Parkway. There's the famous old Palmer's, and you can see the sign up there, Talking Parrots. And I used to go in there to buy mealworms, and that really did have talking parrots in it. Yeah, and I think yes, monkeys. They actually used to sell monkeys back in the day. Not every shop can you buy live monkeys, but of course that was outlawed years ago. Anyway, on that bombshell, talking parrots. Anyway, on that bombshell, I'm going to say cheerio. I hope you found some of this video interesting. Thank you ever so much for getting this far. And maybe someday you might come back and watch another one, although a lot of them are a bit sweary, so don't watch them with your gran. Anyway, for now, cheerio. Bye. You take care now. Bye. Stay good.